Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar. My name is Mel Sherry and I'll be hosting today's session, an introduction to Flood Platform. My role within Jacobs is as the water market lead for Victoria, South Australia and Tasmania, and a key part of my role is understanding challenges and complexity across our sector and working with our teams to respond with solutions that drive immediate and long-term value for our clients. As our communities continue to shift to a more proactive approach to flood risk management, the importance of digital asset management, doing more with less, and ability to respond to the pace of change in our understanding of climate change becomes even more critical. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge and pay my respect to the traditional custodians and owners of the land on which we're all joining today's meetings from. Today I'm dialing in from the land of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respect to their elders, past and present, and acknowledge the cultural, social and spiritual connections that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people have had with Australia's lands and waterways. Now excited to hand over to Sophia to begin the presentation. Over to you, thanks.
Thank you, Mel, and thank you everyone for joining this morning or this afternoon if you're from New Zealand. I'm Sophia, I'm the products lead for Australia and New Zealand for both Flood Modeller and Flood Platform. I've been with the team for about nearly 18 months, 16 months. And before that, I've got a long history of working with different flood products around the globe and came from a humble beginnings of a flood modeller. I spent about 10 years doing flood modeling with TUFLOW and Mike, and then moved into obviously doing reviews, and then moved into the software space. So this webinar is going to cover really just an introduction to Flood Platform, what it is. I'm going to show you some of the features inside Flood Platform. We'll give some examples of how people are using those features today. We'll have a look at the roadmap, and then if you've got any questions, we will answer them at the end. To get started, I thought I'd just show you an overview of kind of what Flood Platform is and how it's built. So if we take the three cubes at the top, we've got clients, modelers, and stakeholders. It's really important in the flood industry that all of these people work together. They've got different skill sets. They need different things out of the models. But obviously, you know, modelers usually have the most skills when it comes to modeling, but we need to be able to share that information efficiently with everyone else. So the reason we've built Flood Platform is so that all of these people can work together on a single platform. So we've got all the building blocks there, the model management, the visualization, the security, the collaboration, and the simulation. And that's all underpinned by cloud storage, which is elastic. So I've never met anyone who doesn't have enough storage, doesn't have too much storage, sorry. Always looking for more storage when it comes to flood modeling, and also always looking for more compute and licensing to run more and more simulations. The more complex the industry gets, the more computer hardware we need. So that's the way Flood Platform is built. It's web only, so all you need is a login and your internet. You do not need to download anything. So it's really easy to share and visualize information all together. Currently, it works with Flood Modeller and TUFLOW. I've spent a lot of time developing it for TUFLOW. I've spent the last really year and a half working on enhancing those functionalities because I know in Australia we use TUFLOW pretty much only for flood modeling. So talking a little bit about why Flood Platform was developed. This happened before I joined the team, but the last couple of years, the team in the UK went out and surveyed and interviewed people in the flood industry from all areas around the world, including Australia and New Zealand, to find out what the biggest challenges they had were. And it was kind of unanimous across all countries. Everyone was experiencing the same problems. And those problems, challenges kind of fall into these categories, which we built Flood Platform around. So model and data management, visualizing and interrogating data, doing model checks and quality reviews. I hear a lot of people who don't even bother doing these because they just don't have time. A lot of trust in the flood modeling team. Simulation resources and access to licensing. I should point out that's not inside Jacobs, that's externally. Automating analysis, collaboration, and that's one of the biggest things we had troubles with internally at Jacobs is we had Flood Platform internally, but we couldn't collaborate with others outside of that because it wasn't a web base, it was based on our servers. That's one of the reasons why we've moved to the cloud. And then transferring models. So I'm just going to go through some of these challenges and how Flood Platform has been used to address them. So we'll start with model and data management. So the solution inside Flood Platform kind of entails these components. So we've got elastic storage, so it doesn't matter how big your flood models are, we can kind of host those. We've got the ability to catalog models, so there's no weird folder naming structures, everything's saved in the same way so that we can find things. There's the ability to have a global view. So if you are diligent at mapping where your projects are when you're uploading and storing them inside Flood Platform, you can get a really nice global view. You can see the example on the right-hand side of the screen. This is my, well, I'm in Tweed Heads, but this is my local council where I worked for many years. Gold Coast, you can see the different catchments there where different models are hosted inside Flood Platform. So an easy way to kind of categorize those. So you have the ability to version. You've got permission settings, so you can control who's got access to what and who can see things. You've got automated file checks. One of the biggest issues that I see in flood modeling is when we hand models over or we receive models, there's always files missing, or perhaps there's corrupted files, and so we can't rerun the models. So Flood Platform has been built to go and check that all the files that you need for that model are included in the upload. And then file visualization. So whether you are a modeler or a non-modeler, you can view the contents of the model without having to know all the naming conventions and intricacies of TUFLOW. I'll show you what that looks like inside Flood Platform. This is just a web browser. And on the left-hand side, you've got the sandbox and then the organization. So these are different spaces you can work in. The sandbox is private to you, and it comes preloaded with some demo models. And then if I have a look at the training organization, so you can see there I'm a member of many organizations at the moment. I've got team spaces in the org. Under each team space, I have a number of projects. Inside those projects, I then have model categories, and that's where you would store your different models. So at the moment, it is kind of used for models only, but we're about to release the ability to have different contents along with that. So the reports, the data that comes along with your model. So having a look at the settings of a team space, obviously you've got all the general information, but on the members tab, this is how you control who's got access. At the moment, obviously I've got myself as the owner, but then I've added my private Outlook account just to show what it looks like. So you can obviously remove those easily. You can also have a look at what permissions I've got. So I've currently set my Outlook as the viewer. If I have a look at what the viewer role entails, I can obviously read all the information and I can create exports. So I can download the models and I can create comments on the result files. Looking at the usage, you can track how you're using Flood Platform and control costs. So good for project managers. And you can even break down inside the team space how much each project is costing you in terms of storage. If you want to control that, for example, you've got thousands of dollars worth of compute credit and you want to control how much is spent on each team space or project, you can use the spend limits and the storage limits to do that. If I go back to the team space overview, you can quickly create a project to store new models in. I'm not going to do that, I'll show you that a little bit later on. But I'm going to open up a project. And inside this project, so this is a training project we used a couple of weeks ago. I've got one model category for a TUFLOW combined model. And you can see there I've got two models uploaded. So these are version controlled. You can see version 1 was my name, and then version 2 actually upgraded the name of the model. But in the models, it's split into kind of 3 different categories. So this is the uploads check report that I mentioned earlier. So looking for missing files when you upload the model. And you can see here it's actually found that there's a missing ground model. So we want to go and correct that before we handed this model over. Under the model files, these are where you can actually view the contents of the model. So at the moment, you can view kind of the batch files, any of the control files. We've got syntax highlighting. So if you are a TUFLOW modeler, it should look quite familiar. You can have a look at the CSV files that have kind of the inflow boundaries, the rainfall. And soon you'll be able to see the GIS files as well. And the last one there is the simulations. So this is just a simple one where I've got one simulation with one result file, but you could obviously have hundreds of thousands of simulations with results. Flood Platform's flexible. You can either run your simulations in the cloud through Flood Platform, or you can upload your simulations with results. Either way, you can view the results inside Flood Platform, which I'll show you in a minute. So the way this is being used at the moment for model and data management, it's this uploads check that's the one that's proving to be most useful. Particularly in the UK, there's a lot of transfer between councils, environment agencies, consultants of the models. What you can do is if you use Flood Platform to upload your model and check all the contents are there, you can do that before you hand the model over to the client. That means you can save weeks worth of back and forth between you and the client or a reviewer of trying to locate all those missing files. This is usually the first part of every project that's done, unless you're starting a model from scratch. I've heard that you can actually legitimately lose a couple of weeks going back and forth trying to find files. So shortcut that process and get Flood Platform to do it for you. Next thing we're going to have a look at is the visualization of the results. Well, I think since I've been modeling, tools have come a long way, particularly QGIS and the plugins that are available for it now. Back in my day, I had to plot long sections by hand because we did not have the GIS tools to do that. So luckily we're not there anymore. But if you're not a TUFLOW modeler, picking up QGIS and having the plugins installed, knowing which files to open, plotting things in Excel, looking through notepads, it's a pretty tall ask when that's not really your main job. When you've got other things to be handling, you know, you've got complaints or you've got catchments to manage, you don't really want to be learning new tools that are a very small portion of your job. So Flood Platform has been designed to help people that aren't doing the modeling day in, day out. It's not intended to replace QGIS or your other tools that you're using today if you're a modeler, but to help for non-modelers. So things that you can do there, you've got the simulation health overview, which is super powerful to make sure that your models are healthy. We've got 2D simulation playback. We can graph and pull inspection point results. You get pipe long sections and river cross section views, and you can inspect the model inputs and the check files as well. So what this looks like in the software, you can see here I've got a long list of simulations with results. I'm just going to open up one in particular. So this is an AR&R 2019 simulation. I'm not sure if we call that anymore. That's the 1% AEP 10-minute storm and a pattern 1. You can see which version of TUFLOW it's been running. It's being used on the GPU. Taken 15 minutes to run and about 8 minutes to process that into a web-friendly format so that we can view all this. And you can see there's simulation health being plotted for the HPC runs. So very quickly you can see, okay, this model is pretty healthy and the control numbers are all as they should be. To look at the results, by default, you get this nice aerial view. And if you click on any of the 1D elements inside Flood Platform or a PO line for that matter, you get kind of a good view of the results. So depending on what it is, you get a change in what you view. And you can look at this through the different time steps of the results. All the views are linked, so you can see the graphs on the right-hand side are changing, and so are the 2D results in the map. So it's really easy to kind of interrogate what's going on in the map, in the model. You can also turn on the maximum results, which is a lot of people's go-to. And you can change the way these are viewed as well. So you can change the colors and the densities of the arrows. At the moment, the rasters are limited to opacity. That will change in the near future. And you can get any of the 2D results just by clicking on the map. So you can see there it's adding the depths in the inspection panel. And if I have different rasters turned on, we'll get the different results as well. And something that's very new is the ability to compare the flood outline for results. And I might just turn my Teams off. So we can compare results for different outputs. So I'll turn the 60-minute and the 120-minute on. And you can see there the outline of the black outline of the other results. And obviously for this map, if I just turn on the street map, it's a bit easier to see. You can see that the longer durations are probably more critical for the flood outline here for this particular model and this area. So this is a really good way to view, pre-development, post-development. Are we increasing the flood extents? And then you can go and click on the maps and see, okay, what is the depth and elevation changes? So really, we've only just started using this on Jacob's projects. And the biggest reason is because we're often delivering models to people that aren't modelers. And so there's been some projects where we have actually, I shouldn't say we, it's not me, it's the team, but they have been upskilling the clients in using QGIS just so that they can access the information that they've been given. So the flood platform will kind of streamline all of this and allow the flood modelling teams to actually do flood modelling rather than training on QGIS and Notepad. All right, so have a look at simulation resources and licensing next. So the way Flood Platform works is actually it's a shared pool of cloud resources with your local machines, and we access your TUFLOW licenses existing. So for example, if you've got 10 TUFLOW licenses, maybe you've got 5 machines or 5 high spec machines, and you want to access another 5 to run 10 in parallel, you can do that in Flood Platform. Flood Platform will take 5, your computers will take the other 5, and it's all shared between the 10. You can launch hundreds of simulations in parallel, assuming you've got the licensing to do so. And all the license management and the run management is automated for you. So if you do launch, 800 simulations to do AR&R, but you only have 2 licenses, you can launch them all and it will work out when you can restart those next simulations based on the licensing. Just because of timing, I'm not going to go through a demo of that, but we did do a pretty comprehensive webinar last year on cloud simulations. We also talked a little bit about, the benefits of stripping down how many simulations you need to do and when you can do that. Samantha Watt from our team talked about that. And Chris Huxley from TUFLOW spoke about how to make your models nice and healthy and pick the right parameters to make sure that you get the fastest simulations that you can without sacrificing kind of accuracy of the models. So worth checking out. If you go to floodplatform.com/webinars, you can access that. But maybe wait to the end of this webinar before you jump over to that one. One of the projects that we're going to be using this on is the Thames flood mapping project in the UK. It's a project where we're protecting 1.4 million people and $320 billion worth of property. And the project entails modelling of 100 kilometres of highly complex estuaries, including barriers and defences. And the whole reason they're doing this is they need flood mapping to support investment decisions through to the 2100. But as part of that project, there'll be 250,000 simulations being run through Flood Platform, which is pretty exciting to see. Right, so the last one there I wanted to cover was transferring models. And this is by far the biggest pain that I see in projects. There's never any budget left at the end of the project to actually transfer the models to clients or to reviewers. And so it's a bit of a mad dash at the end, and it doesn't really matter whether you're a small consultant, a large one, a council, a state government, a water utility, everyone seems to have the same problem, irrespective of your IT. So we've deliberately put in some features inside Flood Platform for handling this and making life a bit easier. So there's an encrypted file sharing tools. It's password protected. You get a customized expiry date. There's no size limitations. So we've transferred terabytes of data to clients using this, and no need to buy hard drives. So literally you just log in to Flood Platform through the internet, upload your files and share them. No need to buy hard drives and drive them to client locations. So what this looks like inside Flood Platform, very easy to use. You still manage them through team spaces and projects because we want to track what we've got and where we store them. So you still give them a project name and a description. The only difference is we click on the upload only. That tells Flood Platform not to process everything and create kind of visualization for the web. We still map where these are so that we can view them on the global map, should we want to. And we still add the model categories. So we tell Flood Platform what kind of model it is. Although this is designed for handling flood models, you really can share any data using Flood Platform. So we will add another model category kind of to help with that if it's non-model data. Essentially, you just, once you've done that, you upload your model. So you zip everything up, whether it's model or LiDAR or whatever it is, and you upload. You can do multiple uploads as well by doing drag and drop. And depending on obviously how far away you are from the storage and your internet connection and the size of the files will depend on how long it takes to upload. But it's pretty darn quick, especially compared to the local servers at Jacobs. I can upload things to Flood Platform a lot quicker than using kind of the servers and VPN from home. This is what it looks like. So you get some information about it. You obviously can't see the files because no processing has been done. You can see the name of the file, the size, and when it was uploaded. You can create a password. And then you can create a link expiry and then just hit share. So once that's done, you copy that link, you can paste it into a Teams chat or an email. And depending on how safe you want to be, you might want to give that person a phone call, let them know what the password is. And on the other side, the receiving side, this is what it looks like. You just get a web page, you type in the password to unlock the file, and then you just hit download. So really simple, really easy. And we haven't really hit any IT barriers, even though we've been using it for the last probably 6 months. So we've been using this on a lot of projects where we would have had to use encrypted hard drives or file transfer sites. We've also used this where those two things have failed. Jacobs likes to encrypt any hard drives that are plugged into our laptops, so it makes it difficult to actually transfer those files safely and securely. And we've also used this to receive files, so we've given different people access to Flood Platform so that they can upload the files to us. Right, so that's all the things that exist inside Flood Platform. Obviously, I haven't shown you everything, but it's a good overview. And just have a look at the roadmap of what's coming. So we launched back in October last year, and since then we've added the ability to compare results and the threaded comments. Very soon you'll be able to select between different GPUs, depending on what your budget allows. And the two kind of key things that we're working on at the moment is the quality assurance tools. So that some of these checks that we do, or the reviewers do on these models is automated, make that process a little bit easier to do, make sure that we're actually doing it. And then the post-processing. So making sure that we're looking at the results, you know, the envelope results, the impact maps, whatever that might be, making sure that we're doing that in a consistent format and way so that everyone can access that. And then the last one that I kind of want to point out, which I'm really excited about, we've been working on we've done a lot of discovery on, is the Australian hydrology. So I'm really excited to be looking to support Australian hydrology. It's something that hasn't had a lot of attention in the last probably 40 years. So it'd be great to see some new tools coming around for that.